Good morning, folks. It's an interesting day on planet Earth today. The pace of events is quickening. I think that would be my theme for the day, is everything is speeding up. And so I'm doing my normal review of information sources. This is Jim Sinclair website, and I haven't dug into this yet. Ukraine is obviously one of the geopolitical hotspots to be watching right now, along with Kazakhstan. There's the Ukraine, there's Kazakhstan, there's Russia. And so geopolitically, we've got some opportunities for conflict in those areas. And Kazakhstan kind of in meltdown mode for the last week or so. A lot of conflicting reports about what exactly is going on in that country. Let's move on. My point is the pace of events is quickening. Just leave it at that. I want to share with you, when we're looking for information online, how can we help ourselves? How do we do the process more efficiently, more effectively? And so any term that you put inside of double quotes, you're telling Google, hey, only show me the results for these specific terms. And you can see here, I got China and credit. Well, so here's another tip. If we go to tools, so click tool, we'll search on China, and then we go to tools, and now we get this time filter. And we can say, hey, I'm only interested in the last 24 hours. What's happened in the last day? And so we can see here, China's cutting interest rates, moves in the yuan, so maybe they're considering changes in their peg to the US dollar, interest rates cut. Anyway, just some tips on how we can use Google as a search engine to help us find information and filter information. And really these days, folks, filtering is the key. There is so much information out there and misinformation that being able to search more effectively and efficiently is important, in my opinion. So let's keep going. China and credit. So I made this point yesterday. China is clearly making moves to stimulate their economy. I guess, stimulate growth. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is that they are trying to put a floor somewhere under the current collapse of their real estate development sector, which appears to be spreading at this point. So that's another way of looking at that. And so anyway, China is making moves to ease credit, lower interest rates, cut interest rates, etc. So just be aware of that. There are financial issues in China, potentially could have an effect on debt markets worldwide. It will be interesting to watch and see how aggressively the Chinese government steps into this issue in an attempt to address it. And then, as we noted yesterday, China currently is 180 degrees opposite of what the rest of the world is claiming that they are about to do, which is, U.S. Fed is saying that they're going to taper and raise rates, and, whether that actually happens or not, that is what the talking heads are currently saying. So anyway, China is headed in a completely opposite direction to that. And then another topic that I am watching, and I'd give it a broader category than just food inflation or food supply chain, and I would talk about food security. And so, if you're like me, you probably like to eat a pretty good 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, maybe even dessert in there a couple of times a week. I like to eat. I'm a human being. And so anyway, there is a significant inflation currently occurring in the food supply. In addition to that inflation, there are significant challenges, headwinds to the food supply chain. Not only may we expect ongoing inflation in our food prices, those increases may not be geometric. They may be stair-stepping higher as challenges in the supply chain become more obvious. I can just touch on a couple of them. China has stopped exporting fertilizer. Russia has stopped exporting fertilizer. We've got natural gas issues, which of course that's where a lot of fertilizer comes from, natural gas. Any number of issues. We just had the vaccine mandate go into effect on the U.S.-Canadian border. Currently, it's the Canada to U.S. traffic on January 22nd. Only vaccinated truck drivers will be allowed to cross. That's already in effect on the Canada to U.S. direction. On January 22nd, it goes into effect on the U.S. to Canada direction. And so anyway, there are a number of challenges to the food supply chain. And on that line, a few things that I'm doing. Every time I go to the grocery store, I grab a few extra things. I'm only setting aside the stuff that I eat. I don't buy dehydrated food anymore. I went down that road. I did some tests. I took some dehydrated food. I rehydrated it. I left it setting on the counter. It didn't mold. It didn't rot. It didn't do anything. It just sat there. And so anyway, dehydrated food is dead food. And our bodies, the human body needs living food. Our bodies are alive. We need live food. If somebody wants to prove me wrong on that, go for it. More than welcome to have a conversation with you. I'm prepping my garden beds for spring planting, and I'm researching how to do both starting of seeds and then early planting techniques. I'm in Southern California, and so pretty much you can grow food essentially year-round here. The key there is that each of us has to learn, how do we maximize our food growing potential in our local area? I'm also building, this is what I've been busy with in last week. I'm putting in a chicken run in preparation to getting chickens. Let's continue. So the markets are open. It's about 10 a.m. New York time. This is gold in the daily time frame. Clearly we got pushing higher this morning. So silver made a move yesterday without gold participating. And now this morning we can see gold is on the move. And here we have, this is gold in the 4-hour time frame. I wanted to look down, just take a little bit of a closer look at gold and see what was going on. I was thinking of this as a breakout trade. So if you're looking at this market as a trader, how might you trade it? So this morning, it appears that we have potentially a breakout occurring. And so you could, one strategy for trading a breakout is that, okay, I'm going to buy the breakout. Another strategy is all right, I'm not going to buy the breakout. I'll wait for the retest. And so anyway, at least two strategies for playing a breakout trade. One of the indicators that we might use as traders is MACD, and so we can see we're currently on a new buy signal, new MACD buy signal, and MACD in this time frame, and I'll emphasize we're down in the 4-hour time frame. MACD in this time frame has given us a new buy signal, and it is in bull mode, where both indicator lines are above the zero level, which suggests that the primary trend in this time frame is upwards. And stochastics, this is what I use as a measure, one of my measures of energy clearly elevated and rising sharply. So gold looking very good in both the daily and 4-hour time frames. Yeah, that's just a real nice, yeah, and see now, gold just took out the prior high. So yeah, and so again, as a breakout trader, you might choose that I'm going to buy the breakout using Andrew's pitchforks. Our next, if we're looking for a price target here, in general, the next median line is always our target. And so we might be looking at something up in here as a target. So, 840, 844, 846, somewhere in there as a price target on this move, and then take profit a little bit early. Let's keep rolling. So silver, again, started moving yesterday, got a nice move yesterday, and continuing to move this morning. I suggested yesterday that physical supply in silver might be tighter than commonly believed. That, I suspect that that is the case. There isn't as much physical silver out there available as Wall Street would have you believe. I followed my own advice yesterday, and I bought 1 ounce rounds and 10 ounce bars. I paid $4.15 over spot yesterday. So, and obviously this morning, I'm feeling good about that purchase, and obviously wishing I had bought, 2 or 3 times as much. Silver's just looking real fine here. Obviously a nice price movement. Another impulsive price bar. MACD is now in bull mode, primary trend being upwards, as suggested by that indicator. Energy very elevated and still rising. So silver's just looking real nice, folks. GDXJ, this is the weekly time frame. Mining stocks have not been, they haven't totally crashed, but they haven't been exciting lately. And so we can see maybe we're getting a little bit of excitement this week starting. MACD is flat down in bear mode, energy still in the tank. If we drop down to the daily time frame, we can see we're getting some nice action today. Currently, we are at 3.6, almost 3.7% up for the day, which, obviously that's a big move on the day. And, the day's just getting started. So MACD on a buy signal, energy very elevated. So, mining stocks are going to follow the metals. Here we've got Bitcoin in the daily time frame. Nothing really new to report here. We've still got the median line of this Andrews pitchfork holding us back as resistance. Dollar in the daily time frame. I suspect that yesterday's movement, these last 3 sessions, all of that was counter trend, that we got this impulsive move to the downside. This was a counter trend movement. We're in the process of testing that breakout level, breakdown level from below, but certainly based on this morning's action, the dollar is testing that level and failing. It's unable to push up through that level. It's rolling back over. The day is young. We'll see what happens. This is the yield on the 10-year note. We're in the weekly time frame, and I wanted to look at the bigger picture because I feel that this is the, if you wanted to talk about what is the most significant market right now, it is interest rates, in my opinion. And so in the weekly time frame, we can see that interest rates are pushing higher with energy. That's a gap. Doji's high energy, stochastics is elevated and rising sharply. MACD on a buy signal in bull mode. Just all kinds of suggestions, hints that interest rates want to move higher and do so strongly. In the daily time frame, we appear to be taking a little bit of a pause this morning. Of course, we've had these, several days of impulsive movements. That's an impulsive price bar, yield in this case. Big gap. That's an impulsive movement. And then another impulsive price bar yesterday where price or yield closed. Did it close on its high? Yeah, so closed on its high. And so closing on the high or near the high of the day, that's another indication of elevated energy. So anyway, very elevated energy in this movement. MACD is very overbought. This would be a good place to roll over and take a rest. And so maybe that's what we're seeing today is a little bit of a rest. Equities, this is SPX. We're in the daily time frame. Price right now didn't have a very good day yesterday and actually closed below the prior low. So we want to make note of that. We broke below prior low on the close yesterday. Today we're in this corner. We're kind of I talked about this a little bit yesterday. When price gets squoze into a corner like that, we might start watching for impulsive price movements in one direction or the other. If the market rolls over, we might be looking for a spike down into 45.30 or so as the next support level. In the Dow daily time frame, same idea, is that yesterday we had a breakdown. Today, or so far today, we're kind of in a sitting around the campfire having coffee. Here's the NASDAQ, and same thing going on. Breakdown yesterday, still deciding what we want to do today. Folks, that's a little bit long this morning. And hey, I was kind of all over the map this morning. I mean, we talked about geopolitics, we talked about food security, we talked about the real estate developers in China. What would you like to see from me? I'd like to provide value to you. Any feedback you'd like to provide, I'm open to. Have a fantastic day. I will talk to you soon.